Record? We'll just have to wait. Hold on me. All right. What's up? It's your boy Enigma back with another Mind of a Black Author podcast. And as you can see, I'm out here in sunny California. And since I'm out here in California, I figured I'd do one of my books that are based out of California. So I have several books that actually have California as the background. But today I'm going to talk about the book that got me banned on Facebook, Secret Lovers, the Side Chick Chronicles. So I talked about this book once before, and the reason it got banned is because one of the characters kind of looks like she's not wearing anything. So they'll probably ban this video too, but it is what it is. But let's talk about this one in specific. So as I said in one of my other podcasts, this one is basically a book that came out based off a script I wrote. The script I wrote was called Side Chicks, and it was actually one character, the middle character here, who is Melanie. She was the main character of that script, and basically it follows her conquest, if you want to call it, where she becomes a side chick and gets with this guy named Tristan that she meets in the club, and it goes about their relationship. The other character, the one that's always getting me banned for some reason, is Maya. She was also in that script, but she was more of a side character. She really didn't have a storyline. She was pretty much the angel on Melanie's shoulder, trying to tell her that all this side chick stuff is nonsense, blah, 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 was what it was. So that's pretty much the script. And I won't go into too much details because I'll spoil it. But since I had an angel, I needed a devil. And that will be Sade right here. So each of these women have different personalities. Sade is the one who does the whole side chick thing as a business. Like, she gets with married men specifically, has her way, siphons as much money as she can off of them, and then cuts them and send them along their way. So it's basically a game to her. She does it because that's her game, So I really wanted somebody who's really knee deep into it to offset Melanie's. Melanie's kind of borderline, and then Maya's like, I don't like this whole side chick stuff anyway. So you have these three characters who basically are dating in Los Angeles. So it takes place in Los Angeles in the dating world. And Sade is, like we talked about, like the one that's just the dirty one. Matter of fact, this book starts off with introducing us to Sade and showing us how she is. She basically waiting on this guy named Gerard that she's dating, a married man. And she tells him that he's pregnant now. He's married. He has kids. He starts to panic. He's telling her to get rid of the child. She's saying, no, I'm going to keep the child. And this goes back and forth. He gets nerves gets bad. And Sade puts up a great act. And then, he decides, I'll even pay for the abortion and all that. So eventually she relents and says, fine, I'll do this. And he's happy. He sends her the money. And the funny thing about it was she wasn't pregnant anyway. This was all just a scam to get money and to get him out of her life. So that's how the book starts. So that shows you how devious she is. So you have three different personalities. The book actually starts when they go to the club. And so one of the things I liked about these chapters is I was initially going to go with a full chapter where you just see what happens in the club because all their storylines start that night. But what I decided to do was I wanted to break each chapter up, or each character storyline up, into a separate chapter. So basically, when they walk into the place, Sade is the first to bounce. She's like, okay, I got work to do. And she leaves her friends in the club. And then you follow her storyline to see everything that she does. Then we go to Maya, who is the good girl. She has her storyline where she and Melanie, they meet these guys, one named Tristan, which I kind of talked about with Melanie, the other one named Xavier. And her and Xavier kind of go their separate ways, and then you follow them, but then you come back and then you follow when Maya left, and then you follow Melanie. So those three chapters are all back to back to back. They're shorter chapters, but I wanted each chapter to focus on the storyline for that particular character. So that's the way the reason I wrote it like that. So it was all fun, and I thought that came out real well. As far as the storyline goes, Melanie, again, she was the main character in the script. So she kind of has that arc where she's kind of borderline with this whole side chick thing. She meets Tristan, and there's a slight spoilers here. And initially, she's not going to mess with him because, husband, I don't deal with all that stuff. But then they run into each other a couple weeks later and they start to hit it off again. And they decide, we're going to kind of do this. But being the businesswoman that Melanie is, she wants to get it on contract. So she gets it on paper saying, this is, what we're setting up for this relationship. So we exactly know what we're getting into. So there won't be any questions or anything like that. And, they continue their affair throughout the book. Now, of course, things change, feelings change, and we know how that goes. And I'm not going to get too deep into that. And then, of course, with Sade, one of the funny things about her is that night at the club, she actually meets a football player. And this is like winning the lottery for her because she's never had a professional athlete or celebrity or anything like that. So she's looking to siphon as much money as she can off of them through her whole thing. And the funny thing about it is, what she does to get this guy, and, I'm trying to keep this PG, but she's in a club, she meets with him, and then they kind of have intercourse. I'm not going to go into more details than that. And keep in mind, this is a ball player, so he's probably had sex with about 40, 50 women a day. You never know. Like Magic Johnson, 6 women at a time. It happens. And what she does is actually, she wins him over with that. And so that goes to show you sexually how she is. She knows how to use her sex to grab a man. And so that was her thing. And then as far as Maya is concerned, she's actually in love with the guy who's in jail for life. He's not getting out. He was an ex-drug dealer, and he ended up doing a crime, getting set up that, he's going their way for murder. He has a life sentence. She's going broke trying to keep him, or trying to get him freed, but it ain't working. He's telling her to move on. Her friends are telling her to move on, but she won't do it. So that's her issue and her storyline. But she does meet the guy in the club, Xavier, which I'll talk about here in a moment. All right, so all the women have their different storylines, and you follow them throughout the book. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of tragedy. There's a lot of things that go wrong, as you can tell with the type of scenario we're discussing here. And I just thought about something too. So y'all know I always do my marry, sex, kill videos where I talk about my characters that will marry, sex, and kill. So normally I do this with characters that have similar traits to make it kind of, challenging. But since I have 3 main female characters, I'll do a real quick one with this one here, and this won't last long, trust me. So let's start off with sex. That would be Sade. Why not? Because she knows what to do. Now, the only problem is she's going to cost you money, but Sade shows that she can get a man to do whatever she wants based off of sex. So that was the easy one. So now we come to the marry and the kill one. This was tough because Maya probably is the safer bet to marry, but Maya is so strung out on this dude in jail, and it's causing conflict, and you'll see in the book with her character with future relationships. And she's a little boring. Let's just be honest with you. So Melanie, she's kind of borderline. Her problem is just trying to find a man that she really doesn't have much wrong with her, other than, she's just looking for some sort of guy to just kind of fill in the blanks in her life. So Melanie, and the fact that she's willing to take a little more chances, Melanie marry, and then Maya sadly have to kill. She's boring. Not the character's not boring, but just in the comparing the 3, she's the most boringest one. So that's probably the one that I would send off to the grave. But anyways, that was just a real quick thing. But overall, the reason I wanted to talk about this book, like I said, it takes place in Los Angeles, and I'm here in LA. There's a lot of things that go on. I have plenty of books that take place in LA, but this one was specific. And, this book, honestly, online, this is my most popular book. Between Wives is my most popular book at the trade shows and stuff like that. But online, this one always has the page read. So I feel like the movie American Fiction, my ratchet stuff. People love to read my ratchet stuff. And then the actual psychological thriller and all that, I have to actually go out there and push that. But people love this one based off of that. So if you in that type of stuff, and the funny thing is, it's not even really that ratchet. It's really a tale of women just dating in Los Angeles, and side chick is just one of those things that they become, even if they know it or not. So if you're interested in that type of topic, and I promise you, it doesn't go the way you think it is. It's not your typical book. If you've read my books, you know things don't go the way they're supposed to. So this book here, I think you'll like it. It's fun. I have a lot of people who read it now and they enjoy it. So check it out. If you want to check it out on my website, www.enigmakid.com. That's www.enigmakidd.com for the listeners. And one last thing I'll leave you with, I'm in the Enigmaverse. So how is this book connected to the Enigmaverse? 3 things, all right? And I'm gonna dial them down now. So if you've read any of these books, you probably have caught it. All right, number 1, the first connection, the guy that Sade dates, he's a football player and he plays for the New Orleans Saints. And this is the same guy that took Tanisha's virginity in Freedom. So if you remember, she actually dated a guy when she was younger. He was going to Syracuse College at the time. And this is the same ball player that she messed around with, lost her virginity to in the Freedom book. And now he's a NFL player. He even calls her the same name. He used to call Tanisha Bird, and he calls Sade Bird too. So that is the connection there. The second connection, speaking of New Orleans, so this is a little bit of a spoiler. So Sade, her professional job, her legitimate job is an interior decorator. So the football player hires her to decorate his home in New Orleans. You got to think about the boldness on him to bring a woman he's sleeping with in his house where his wife lives. But that's beyond the point. Again, point of the story. So they all go out to this club and there's a shooting and they just barely escape. So in NOLA Street Tales, I believe it's Vengeance, they were in that character, Sharice's club. So that's the same assassination attempt that happened to Sharice in that book. That's where they were. They were part of the crowd. And so you don't really see the names or anything like that, but the whole situation plays out just like it does in NOLA Street Tales. And so that was also a connection to the Enigmaverse. And then the final one, when Melanie and Maya are giving Sade a hard time for her lifestyle, she says she misses running with her friend Natalie. Well, remember in Promiscuous Love, Natalie, who's actually dead in the book, she was another one of those Sade type people. And so it was based in LA too. So she's referring to that person, and they kind of make a comment about, hey, she's, that was her friend, and, look what the life led her to. And the funny thing is the difference between those 2 characters. So you have Natalie, you have Sade. Sade is more structured. She has a plan. She has a code she lives to. Whereas Natalie, who uses sex as well as a thing to control men, she's not. She's more toxic. She's looking for relationships. And that's ultimately what leads her to her death in that book. But yeah, there's yet another connection that her and Sade used to run the streets. And I like to think, I guess I don't have to think since I'm the author of both these books, but Sade was the one trying to teach Natalie the game, but Natalie just couldn't connect with it, which is why she ended up in the situation that she was in that Promiscuous Love book. So anyways, again, that is another Enigma connection. So if you haven't checked out this book, check it out now. If you haven't checked out those other books that I mentioned, I'll leave all those links in the description as well. But right now, I'm out here on vacation. I'm about to go check out some of this water. So I will see y'all on the next one. Deuces, y'all. You see if I can get up, y'all. I'm not a little old.